All right, let's talk about Desmond Ridder formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, now of the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. If you didn't hear, he is someone who, last year was a starter for the Falcons. It didn't go particularly well, so they eventually traded him to the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals thought he could maybe be a backup, but after the preseason, he's not even that. Clayton Tune was named a backup, and Ridder actually got waived and then re-signed with the practice squad when no one claimed him off waivers. So what happened? What went wrong? Why did Desmond Ridder not even end up as a backup for Arizona? Well, let's get into it. First, let's start off with the play you see on your screen. It's going to be a designed rollout towards the top of the screen, and you have, several routes running in that direction. I think that for all of Ridder's faults last year with Atlanta, the one thing I would say was a benefit is he did a pretty good job, I thought, of just running an offense. On a typical down-to-down play, he did an all-right job at just, getting it to the open guy, which is something Arthur Smith very much values, and why Ridder was able to keep the starting job even when Taylor Heineke, a decent backup, was also there. But for Arizona, there was just more issues. Watch how when this play begins, you're going to see that right here. So you have an Arizona player on this one. This is Zach Pascal, the wide receiver, who appears to be open. And so you would think, okay, well, here we go. This is Desmond Ridder making stuff happen. Well, no, not making stuff happen, but like Desmond Ridder running the offense, being a part of, not making the play happen, being a part of the play. However, this throw just isn't quite there. It's a bit off because he was throwing off balance and just not quite able to make the play, right? It was that little extra degree of difficulty of having to throw a bit off balance and it not being wide open that he just wasn't able to make work. And so while I do want to sit here and say, like, there were some good plays that we typically see from Desmond Ridder, something like the play you see on your screen. It's going to end up being a one-on-one matchup. It's the curl route on the outside. That's where he's going to look towards, and also keep in mind the situation. It's a 3rd down and 8. Ridder takes the snap. He does look in that direction, and as of right here, is it about to get open? Well, it's hard to tell, right? You're going to kind of have a decision to make if you're Ridder. Do you want to make this throw now and hope that it gets open? Because, again, you're on the hash marks towards the bottom of the screen, throws all the way towards the top of the screen. You can't wait for this to get open and then make the throw, because by that point, then when the ball gets there, the defender can cover it up. You're going to have to kind of guess a little bit, throw with anticipation. However, that's going to be exactly what he does, and he's able to make a very accurate throw, really a well-timed throw more than anything, and they pick up the 1st down. These are the things we do see from Ridder. Like, absolutely, these are things that we see. But I think part of the issue is he often gets too locked into that one specific play. Like, this is a good example of, I think, where Ridder can go wrong in a lot of ways, and part of why he's bounced around, and I think this play is a big reason why he didn't end up the starter for Arizona, where what's going to happen is you see the zone coverage that the Denver Broncos are in, and you see the route concept on your screen. Several different routes that you could look towards, although the one going kind of underneath over the middle is where he's going to ultimately look towards. Watch as when this play begins, he starts off looking towards his left, but quickly is going to see that player right there is open to gain some yards. Quite frankly, totally makes sense, right? Let's gain a few yards. Everything logically follows. 1st and 10. Maybe he can break a tackle and get a touchdown. If not, then hey, we gained 4 or 5 yards. Makes it an easier 2nd down situation. Here's the issue. First, you see him just wait too long. Like, if you're going to make that throw, you do have to make it earlier. Gets kind of under pressure a little bit, so the throw's not going to be quite as good at this point. And since it's behind, that allows the Denver player to make the catch, and he actually gets a pick 6 on this play. And this is just the issue with Ridder that'll drive you crazy if you're rooting for him to succeed, is he can make good plays. Like like that play I showed you earlier. Like, he is capable of doing that stuff, but he throws with such anticipation, and he just makes too much mistakes, quite frankly. Like, if you took out the turnovers, he wouldn't be a bad player, I don't think, but he also still wouldn't be like a great player, and he turns the ball over so frequently, it's just really hard to win with someone like him, which is why Atlanta moved off of him, and why Arizona didn't even want him as a backup. And also, I want to be clear, like, it's not like he's like this elite game manager who just happens to make the occasional mistake. Like, he will just also sometimes struggle to manage a game. Something like this, for example, it's a man coverage play. This is a 3rd down and 8, and worth mentioning the situation, currently standing on their own 32-yard lines. So really, unless it's like a 4th and 1, maybe 4th and 2, gaining some yards is probably not going to be enough for you to go for it on fourth down. If you don't get the 8 yards, you're probably going to be punting, so that's the philosophy here. You see the route on the screen. It's one that could maybe work, but if it's going to get a first down, the way it's going to get the first down is if there's enough separation between the receiver and the defensive back for it to work. So when Ridder takes a snap, he looks in that direction, and I'm going to pause it right here because I think we always, as football fans, like to, criticize the quarterback after they make the throw, but I always like to try to pause these plays before the quarterback makes the throw. Sometimes I cheat a little bit, like Ridder's in the throwing motion already, but kind of this is when he has to make the decision, and it's a difficult decision. I think you could argue either way. Should you make this throw? It's going to be tough for the receiver to make the catch and turn upfield and get the first down, but not impossible. But for this to work, what you have to do is this has to almost be like a baton toss, right? You're in a foot race with 34 for New Orleans, so the receiver can't come back to the ball at all, or this just isn't going to be a first down. However, what he does do is he comes back to the ball, right? It's not a bad throw necessarily, but it didn't allow his receiver to continue running with the ball. He had to run a little bit back towards the line of scrimmage, and that little bit was really all that was needed right there. So again, not a bad play, just like not a good enough one. And to make it work at the NFL level, you have to be able to make good plays. Being a game manager, being a good game manager isn't an insult. Like, there are little intricate things you have to be able to do to be a good game manager, and Ridder didn't do it on this one. Like, this one's another example where it's going to be another third down situation, and the concept itself definitely can work. You see this route that's going to try and get into a gap in coverage sort of towards the bottom of the screen. And also worth mentioning, just game situation, an important play in this meaningless game, right? 8 minutes left, you're down 8 points, so getting the first down here would be very crucial. When Ridder takes the snap, he looks over, he's going to get ready to fire, and you see why. I mean, this is the route that looks like as though it's about to get open. Totally makes sense here for Ridder. And again, this isn't going to be like a disastrous throw, but as you see, it is off, and that results in an incomplete pass. You can easily sit here and say, hey, if you're a receiver, if you can get your hand on it, you got to make the grab. Okay, fine, but that was a much more difficult throw much more difficult catch than it had to be. The reality is Ridder missed his spot, and that resulted in a fourth down. And I think it's this. He still is turning the ball over, and he's just not quite a good enough game manager to really make you feel good about him even as a backup right now. And also you got to give credit to Clayton Tune, who did things to win the backup job as well, right? So I think all of that working together is ultimately what ended up with Ridder as no longer a starter at the NFL level or a backup at the NFL level. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on his preseason with the Cardinals and what went wrong. Also the positives that I did see. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.